Hello everyone and welcome to Merlin's Manor. Today I'm going over my top 10 cooperative games. These are games that you are working together as a team with other players against the game system. So let's go ahead and jump right on into my top 10 list, starting with number 10, Mists over Carcassonne. Now, standard Carcassonne is a competitive game where you are competing with other players, but they came out with this cooperative version, which is a lot of fun as well. And this game, it's got this pandemic style kind of situation where you have these ghosts that are coming out whenever you place mist tiles down. And if you ever run out of ghosts to place down and you have to place more down, then you automatically lose the game. And so you're trying to keep the ghosts under control by filling in the mist area. You can then get rid of all the ghosts that are in there once you fully filled in the area. And then you can also use your scoring opportunities. Instead of scoring points, you can use them to get rid of up to 3 ghosts on a tile. And so you have this push and pull because you have to score a certain amount of points to win the game eventually. But you don't want to leave yourself with too many ghosts coming in and you lose the game that way. And so when do you take those scoring opportunities for points, and when do you use them to get rid of some of that ghost population? So I love that push and pull there. There are 6 difficulty levels. We've played through the 1 through 5 difficulty. We haven't quite tried the level 6 difficulty yet, but it's a lot of fun. It really ramps up as you increase that difficulty. If you're having trouble with the higher difficulties, you always bring it down a little bit to one of those lower difficulties and kind of get better and better to increase those difficulty levels as you go. So I really enjoy Mists over Carcassonne. It is my number 10 on this list. Now, number 9 is Horrified. And this takes the classic horror movie bad guys, monsters that you're going up against, and you are going to choose a certain number of them depending on the difficulty level there, and each one has its own little puzzle to solve. And you got this pick up and delivery system where you are going around the board trying to get these different tokens that you're going to be able to use to go and prepare to be able to defeat the monsters, and then actually defeat the monsters. And so you got this two-stage process for each one. And you have asymmetric powers for your own characters. And so each one has a little different thing that it's able to do there. And so it's a lot of fun as you are trying to solve the puzzle for each of these. I also have American Monsters. Didn't like that one as much. And they also have a Greek Monsters one that I'm very interested in getting at some point. But that is Horrified, a very fun cooperative game that has a pick-up and delivery aspect to it as you are working together to defeat some of these classic movie monsters. And now on to my number 8 game, and that is Vagrant Song. This is a campaign game where you are going through these different levels, and you're leveling up your characters as you go, getting extra abilities and different things along the way. And you are basically, at each scenario, you are going up against a haint that you need to help restore their humanity. And it's a boss battler style game, but instead of trying to defeat the boss, you're actually trying to restore their humanity. And it's a lot of fun. Each one of the scenarios is different. It's got a different goal that you have to kind of go against, a different way that the bad guy works. And so you are going through this storyline and restoring all the humanity of these different things. You got this bag that you're going to be drawing chips from. It's going to tell you different things that the bad guy does, as well as you draw them for your own abilities as well to be able to use for different things. And it's just a lot of fun. It looks great on the table. I really like the acrylic standees. This game is making me like that style, the acrylic style over miniatures. Just really great artwork and a great gameplay as well. So that is Vagrant Song, my number 8. Now my number 7 game is Atlantis Rising. And this one you are working together to try to build up this technology that you're going to be able to use to eventually escape Atlantis before it sinks fully into the sea. And each round there are going to be some of the tiles of Atlantis are going to flood. You don't know which ones they're going to be ahead of time. And you are going to place down workers to try to be able to do different things, to get different resources, to get cards and all kinds of different things in order to be able to eventually complete the things that you need to do to be able to escape the island. And so the outer ones give you better benefits than the inner ones, but you are taking a risk if you go on the outer edges that area might flood. And you have you got asymmetric abilities, and some of those give you the ability to be able to move your workers if that floods. And there's other kinds of abilities as well. A lot of fun. I really enjoy this worker placement cooperative game. There's not a lot of cooperative worker placement games out there. I especially enjoy this at the 2-player count because it adds in this extra character that you take turns playing each round. It was just really fun to be able to have a second character to play. I played it 3 players as well. It's fun there as well. I just enjoyed having that second character. There's just something about being able to do more than just your own one ability each round. And so enjoy this game. 2-player count, 3-player count. Haven't played it any higher than that. I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun higher as well. And so Atlantis Rising, highly recommend this. My number 7. Moving on to my number 6 game, and that is Legendary Encounters Firefly. There's a few different Legendary Encounters games as well as the original Legendary series. The original Legendary is a semi-cooperative, really is competitive, but you're kind of working together at the same time against the system. But this is a fully cooperative version of the Legendary series, as are all the other Encounters versions. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it at 2 players because it gets harder the more players you have, and it's already a pretty hard system even at 2 players. We played a 3-player game and got destroyed one time, and the reason why it's more difficult at higher player counts is that the enemies go after every player, and you have to build up your deck just the same in every player count, but they're going more often. And so you're having less time to build up your deck and get stronger in order to go against them. And so it's a great cooperative deck building game for 2 players. And if you're finding it not hard enough, you can always up the player count to 3 or 4 players, and it is going to get harder and harder at those higher player counts. You go through several different scenarios, playing 3 chapters at a time, and I think it's 12 chapters total. A lot of fun. My wife and I really enjoyed playing through the Legendary Encounters Firefly multiple times. Haven't played any of the other ones, but they do all seem like they have a very similar kind of play style to them. I gotta check out some of the other ones as well as I get the chance to. That is my number 6, Legendary Encounters Firefly. Now at number 5 is Harry Potter, and this is also a cooperative deck building game, and it's a lot of fun as well. If you like the Harry Potter IP, I highly recommend this game. Basically, you are building up your decks just like any other deck builder, but you're working together to defeat all the different bad guys in the Harry Potter world, and you have to work through the kind of lower minions, and then you're going to take on Voldemort at the end of each game. And so you got to get through his minions first, and then and as you add more and more to the game, going through the different chapters, you're basically going to be adding in more variety each time of people that you're going to face off against, especially once you get into the expansions and start adding those in. You've got 2 expansions out for this game. I highly recommend both of those as well. I recommend going through the base game first, and then adding in one of the other expansions, playing through those ones, and then adding in the next expansion. And they all work together as well as you keep continuing. And then if you really want a big challenge, there is a mode that you can play where you basically play against every bad guy. You usually just take in a certain amount of bad guys, and you go against that set number, but you can just throw all of them in there and try this long, multi-hour campaign of going through all of them. We've done it one time. It took a long time to get through, and we barely lost the game. It's a very difficult challenge to do and a long challenge if you're going to play that way, but it's a fairly quick game if you are going to just play the standard game as it's intended to be played until you get to that point where you want the extra challenge. And so Harry Potter, Hogwarts Battle, highly recommend this as a cooperative deck building game. Okay, so now my number 4 game is Race to the Raft, and this is the sequel to Isle of Cats. Isle of Cats was a competitive game where you were trying to get cats off this island before the evil Vesh comes and destroys it. And this is the sequel where there are cats that didn't make it off the island, and now you are playing cooperatively as a group to try and help these cats get off the island by placing down these squares that are going to have different tile terrain on them, and you're going to try and help them get to the raft by putting down the right terrain that each cat requires. If it's a blue cat, it requires blue terrain, and so on and so forth for all the other colors as well. So you're trying to help them get there, while meanwhile, after every time that you place a tile down, you're also going to have to pull a fire tile out of the bag because Vesh has started this fire that's spreading to the island. And you're going to have to try and figure out a place that you can put that fire tile where it's not going to mess up your strategy to get your cats to safety. And if ever you have messed it up, you have 3 opportunities where you're going to lose points, but you can get rid of a fire tile in order to help your cats get out there. And so each one has a different puzzle to it. There's a bunch of different scenarios that you can play through. And then there's also some extra kind of ways that you can play that you can add to the game as well to make things a little bit more complex as you go. I really enjoy this game. It's got a lot of replayability. There's just so many great scenarios that you can play. That is Race to the Raft. And now, let's go ahead and get into my number 3 game, and that is Zombicide. And I got Black Plague here so far. I still think this is my favorite of the Zombicide systems. I also enjoy Marvel Zombies as well quite a bit. But I'm going to go ahead and say that this is still my favorite. And basically what you're doing, this is a dice chucking game where you are basically going out there, killing a bunch of zombies by rolling dice. You're going to find weapons that are going to help you to be able to take out the zombies that are going to give you a certain amount of dice to roll and a certain target to hit above. Like you might have to hit 3 or more or 4 or more for it to be a hit. And so you're going to be trying to get weapons that upgrade to be able to more easily take out the zombies, while also trying to accomplish some sort of task, whether it's finding these objectives or whatever the case may be. And so you're going to go through these different scenarios that are in the book. They got more scenarios online as well that you can go through. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy this kind of just taking on all of these zombies, chucking dice, trying to take them out. And if you take 3 wounds, then you are going to be out. And if anybody gets knocked out of the game, then you lose the game. So you got to kind of plan to go in there and take out zombies and work together as a team and not be there when they activate at the end of the player round. You have the player round where you're all doing your actions. You start out with 3 actions, and once you upgrade, you get to 4 actions, and you get some extra powers as you upgrade throughout the game as well. And so you're trying to take out the zombies, not to get hurt yourself, and accomplish whatever objective there is for that round. Really enjoy Zombicide. And now let's go ahead and get into my number 2 game, and that is Spirit Island. And Spirit Island is a very complex game, and so I want to start out by saying that this, if you're new to board gaming, this might not yet be the one for you, or if you like lighter games, this might not be for you. But if you like heavier games, more complex games, I highly recommend Spirit Island. You're playing as a spirit on this island that these invaders are coming in and disrupting everything. They're building their cities and towns, and you are helping the Dahan, which are the natives of that island, to take out and scare off these invaders. And you're working on this fear track, trying to get more fear as you destroy cities and towns and the town folk, and you increase that fear, which is going to help you to be able to win the game. As you go through, at the beginning you have to get rid of everything on the board, and then as you increase that fear level, you have to get rid of less and less, and it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend Spirit Island if you like complex games, and you've got this idea of you're trying to work on stopping them from building, but at the same time you also want to try and take them out, and so there's a lot of things that you can't do everything at once. You have to prioritize certain areas, and it's just a lot of fun. It has a lot of different ways that you can play as far as the adversaries go. They give you, they have different powers and you can ramp up the difficulty in different ways. And so as you play this game a lot more, you can ramp up that difficulty even more. And they got lots of great expansions out there, which add spirits, they add events and different things. Really enjoy Spirit Island. There's so much content here, and I play it true solo sometimes, and then I play it with my wife, and I've played it 3 players. I think the most I've played it with. It's not one that you want to play with probably more than 3 players. 4 players, it gets a bit busier as you have more going on, have more to focus on trying to interact, and the game is longer and longer. So I'd recommend 1 to 3 players as the ideal player counts for this game. That is Spirit Island. And now for the final game on my list. It is my number 1 game, and that is Gloomhaven. And Gloomhaven is and I got Jaws of the Lion right here, which is the one I would recommend starting out with, as it is the simplest. It was a prequel to the main Gloomhaven game, and it kind of streamlines things a bit. It adds a tutorial set of scenarios. I think it's like 5 scenarios that are basically tutorials, which kind of get more and more, they add more and more to the game as you go. You start out with very basic kind of things, and they add rules as you go so that you don't have to learn it all at once. And so I recommend getting Jaws of the Lion to start out with. It is not as complex or hard to learn than the rest of them. There is still quite a bit of rules to learn and some complexity there, but it does kind of hold your hand a little bit as you work through those first 5 scenarios. And so I highly recommend getting Jaws of the Lion, seeing if this is a game for you, and it will kind of teach you the game system to be able to play Gloomhaven and then Frosthaven as well. I haven't gotten into Frosthaven yet, but I'm looking forward to that game. And just really enjoy this. Basically, it's a dungeon crawler style game where you have cards that you are going to be playing for the top power for one of them and the bottom for the other one. Usually the bottom has some movement to it, but not always. And the top is usually your attack, but sometimes you attack with the bottom as well. Sometimes you have different abilities that just boost things. And so there's all kinds of different, and you got so many different characters to play as that each brings their own cards to the table. You upgrade as you go, getting stronger and stronger cards, and I just really, really enjoy Gloomhaven. It's got a great campaign system, a lot of fun, and so much content. I think the regular Jaws of the Lion has 24 or 25 scenarios. You won't see all of them in a playthrough, but we went ahead and played through it twice at 2 players. We played through going one direction for the first game and then the other direction for the other one, and we're also able to play at all the characters that way because there's only 4 in the base or in the Jaws of the Lion game here, and so we played 2 and 2 at the 2-player count. And then Gloomhaven, we actually went ahead and played 2 characters each, my wife and I did, and really enjoy Gloomhaven. So I highly recommend it. I do warn you that it is a little bit more complex, even Jaws of the Lion. But if you get Jaws of the Lion, it really will help you to be able to work through it. And so these are my top 10 cooperative games. I really enjoy these games. I highly recommend them. Most of them are fairly easy to get into and learn. I would say Spirit Island and Gloomhaven are the most complex on this list. Really the only ones I would say are complex. A lot of them are kind of light to medium weight at worst. Most of these are pretty light though, and so I could recommend them to people starting out. And these make great games for you to play with your significant other or to play with a game group of more than just 2 people. And so highly recommend all 10 of these games if you enjoy cooperative games or if you want to jump in and see what cooperative games are like. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it's given you something to think about. I highly recommend checking out my top 10 2-player games video over here, and I will catch you in the next one.